You must have heard the story of the centipede and the frog. A centipede was walking on its way when the frog noticed the centipede and kept on staring at the centipede. Centipede could not help it but asked the frog, "Bro, why are you staring at me like this?" Frog says, "I'm amazed. You have 100 legs. How do you coordinate? How does your leg coordinate? How do you know which leg to put first and which next?" Till that time, frog was not conscious about this. But the moment the frog said this, centipede got conscious. And now he started counting. Step 43rd, step 44th, and the legend says the centipede could not walk. We might laugh at this, but we all have our own centipede moments. I was driving on the streets of Kathmandu. There was a car in front of me. I wanted to overtake, but the car swerved into the right. And I was about to have the collision. I had to take some decision, but then the car moved back onto its lane. Later that night, I wondered, what would I have done? Brake? Accelerate? I didn't have any idea. And then I realized I'm having my centipede moment. Most of my driving is not a decision at all. It is fast, it is automatic, and it is effortless. And mostly invisible to me. So I wondered how many facets of my life I'm living like this on an automatic mode. So what are the things that we are running on the automatic mode? So it turns out there is a Nobel Prize winning answer to this particular question. Daniel Kahneman, the author of the book Thinking Fast and Slow, a psychologist, won a Nobel Prize for answering this question. So he said, we don't think in one way, we think in two. He called them System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast. System 1 is efficient. System 1 is automatic. Whereas System 2 is effortful, deliberative, reflective. You have to think. You have to concentrate. Let me demonstrate. What is 2 plus 2? It came automatically into your head. Did you think? But what if I say, what is 243 into 347? Suddenly, you need concentration. You need effort. Probably you will take out your calculator to answer this particular question. Let me give you one more trick. The first two lines, read. Not read, say the color. Say the color. Come to the third line. Okay, that's it. So what did you find? The moment you come to the third line, what is happening? What is happening? The System 2 appears because there is a conflict. It's not easy anymore. So a System 2 comes into picture when your System 1 gets into difficulty. But it wants to exit as fast as possible. But here is one more thing, which is very interesting thing about System 1, which is it is always on. Imagine you are in a party, in a crowded place, wedding, bar, restaurant, anything. People and people around, loud music being played. You are sitting with your friends, communicating, engrossed in communication. And suddenly from the corner of the room, someone calls your name. What happens? You suddenly turn. Who called my name? Psychologists gave this term the name autopilot. the cocktail party effect. So your system 1 is autopilot, is always searching, scanning the environment. And if there is anything familiar, if there is anything relevant, if there is anything danger, it immediately grabs your attention without even your conscious awareness. Most of the heavy lifting, most of the decision making is done by system 1. And system 2 is your PR. Once system 1 takes the decision, system 2 comes giving reasons why you took that particular decision. Now, the question is, if most of your decision is being run by system 1, what rule it is following? It follows certain shortcuts. Let me tell you, it is not as dangerous as it looks. So the first shortcut that we are going to talk about is if something feels easy, it looks a good choice for you. So if something is easy to process, you lower your guard. And psychologists call it cognitive ease. Now let me confess. I was in a gym, went to my locker, opened the locker, my deodorant was over. So I had to rush to the departmental store to get the deodorant. And as I rushed to the departmental store, I saw my regular one, and as I was about to pick up, I saw buy one, get one free. Free. Reduces all your mental effort. Immediately, my hand jumps on. I'm getting free. Later on, when I opened, it was ladies' deodorant. Fortunately, I am married, so I gifted it to my wife. So it was a happy ending. But the interesting part here, it's not funny. Funny is this. I have been studying, teaching, engaging in consumer behavior from last 18 years. I teach these traps in my class. And here I was, trapped. Your knowledge, your intelligence will not do much to protect you from these shortcuts, these autopilots. But is it only the cognitive ease, that flashy sign which will force you to buy? There is something more, something deeper which builds the cognitive ease, which is familiarity. And let me take you to one of the most boring relationships I have had in my life. I used to go to my sister's house. After the dinner, I used to go to the terrace, take a stroll. And adjacent to the house, there was another house, another terrace, and there was another guy. We never spoke. Our eyes never crossed. No hi, no hello. We don't know each other. But this routine kept on repeating. And after a few days, I was in Tamil having coffee, and there I see this guy. Both looked at each other, had that awkward smile. The guy comes on my table, we introduce ourselves. He was the manager of the cafe. I got discount. But the thing is, we never knew each other. So, the phenomena was explained by Robert Jajong in 1960s, where he said, repeated exposure creates familiarity. Familiarity creates liking, and liking creates preference or trust. And there are studies which say that this can happen below your conscious level also. And you know, the interesting thing, brands know this. It is everywhere. You are on road, it is there. You are opening your social media, it is there. You open the newspaper, it is there. Probably, when I will be going back on my flight, from the top also I'll see Extreme somewhere. They know the playbook. And the playbook is as simple as जो दिखता है and जो ज़्यादा दिखता है. And exposure is a route to that particular phenomena. This is another of our favorite brand. From the childhood times, all the ads that you saw, the hoarding boards, the boards on the shops, and the legendary jingle, Hum Ruman Ma Vai Vai, all accumulates in your head. And you know the interesting thing here, do you think anyone sits and decides objectively, analytically, that YY is better than any other brand on what parameters? We just simply pick up. Because exposure, familiarity, liking, preference. But is familiarity enough for brands? No. They want something more. What do they want more? They want some meaning to be associated. And that meaning is provided with a tool that was provided some 100 years back. What is that tool? Are you aware of this? Ivan Pavlov, dog, food, salivation, and bell. I was teaching classical conditioning in my class. So I narrated this. So there is a food, dog salivates, you pair it with bell, bell, food, salivation, bell, food, salivation, bell, no food, salivation. And then I showed this ad to my students. And I asked, what is this ad trying to do? How is this ad trying to build association? Some of the students were able to find some connection, but most of the students were blank. So one of the students raised her hand and said, "Sir, we as a marketing students don't know how classical conditioning is working. How do you think customers are going to understand these ads?" It was a brilliant question. But here is how I answered that question. Did the dog understand? Did the dog understand why it started salivating to the bell, not even to the food? The dog is thinking, oh, Pavlov is doing something. Oh, he is conditioning me. He is pairing bell with food. And so now I have to salivate. Dog didn't salivate knowing that it has to salivate to bell. It automatically happened. And again, brands know this very, very well. You know, Coca-Cola, in the last 100 years, what have they done? They have built associations with happiness, with Christmas, with Santa Claus, with Dasai, with gifting, with When a guest comes to your house, Coke. They are building associations after associations. And they don't want you to think, okay, Coca-Cola is conditioning me. Momo, so now I have to buy Coke. It automatically has to come to your head. The other brand, current, from the name to the hot model to the fire. And have you ever thought why that Korean or Vietnamese, I don't know the language, is there? There's something written. Everything is trying to build some association which tells you, Piro, it is current. Now, where do we get with all these things? So what do we see? There is system 1, which is always on. It runs on cognitive ease. It is guided by familiarity, exposure. And it is conditioned by everything and anything that you see, the brands, the ads, the logos, the jingles, the guy on the terrace that you have encountered. So with all these things, what brings us to the most important question of today's talk, which is our autopilot a dangerous enemy? No, absolutely not. Our autopilot exists to fasten up our decision making so that we can prioritize things. Our autopilot exists to protect us. So on that day, when I was about to collide with the car, I know for sure my autopilot would have saved me. Why? Because all those 1,000 and 1,000 hours of experience of driving is embedded into my autopilot, which would have come out as an instinct to protect me. System 1 is an extraordinary piece of biological engineering. The job is to fasten up our decision-making process. I know if I would have started deciding consciously, oh, now the car is coming, I have to put a brake or I have to accelerate, I am gone. Tata, bye-bye. So my autopilot is protecting me. So the danger is not that the autopilot exists. The danger is allowing it to drive when it shouldn't. So my buying of the deodorant was a harmless act. But think of addiction. Your first glass of whiskey, your first glass of beer, your first cigarette is a choice that you make. But the 100th, by the time you go to the 100th, your system makes it invisible. It becomes routine. It becomes habit. It becomes pattern. And what do? Your system 2 starts justifying. Oh, unwinding, relaxing, socializing with friends, and so on. So what do? Whenever you have an urge to like something, prefer something, a product, a brand, a person, an idea, or a political party, hold on for a moment. Is this system 1 talking, or I have actually thought about this? See, the centipede walks perfectly until someone asks how. So, the question is not whether the system 1 is steering. The question is, are you paying attention to the road? Thank you.